You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Matt, it's all coming together. We're doing all of our logistics and all of our planning and our outlining for the combine earlier today, and trying to get Mike Pursuta familiar with all the craziness and what car are we taking and what time are we leaving and all that good stuff. It's getting real, partner.
I did a video with him and just came back from the facility now. So, so I was coaching him up, He's like, well, how do you get guests? I'm like, well, I just kind of roam around. You just grab them, You quite, understand it completely. He's like, well, who's at the podium and where's the podiums? And I'm like, they're just in the other room,
They haven't released podium times yet, but I've been waiting for that because obviously we want to try and bring everybody some audio from Indianapolis, from all the major prospects and the guys that we'll be discussing. But yeah, if you've never done that Radio Row thing, it is different. I mean,
I guess, it's so second nature to me now. Right.
You and I go to break, and someone who's producing back here at the ranch, like Nathan or Brian or Justin, will be like, "You guys got 5 minutes." And you and I are like, all right, who can we go over there and get Daniel Jeremiah? Hey, go ask Dane if he wants to do us. Hey, go grab that guy.
But meanwhile, they're in the middle of an interview. You don't know when it's going to end. Right?
It's kind of like stalking your prey.
Yeah.
Like the WWE
wrestler. Oh, it's definitely stalking your prey.
It's like the WWE wrestler who lays low in the corner and waiting for the guy to groggy get up and get on his feet.
Right.
And you bam, hit him when he's least expecting it. But it's going to be a lot of fun. As we will, be out in Indianapolis next week, and it's all starting to come together. But we have still got plenty to get to this week before we get there. And Matt, you mentioned this yesterday, and I want to do this today. Just rolling through the NFL, we've talked some specific cut candidates for the Steelers.
Yeah,
and we've talked cut candidates at wide receiver. As it kind of relates to the Steelers. Yes. But I wanted to zoom out and do the big picture, just kind of around the NFL cut candidates here on this Tuesday as we're getting – we've already seen the Dolphins make some big moves.
Yes, Miami's kind of starting the ball rolling
here. We're getting
to
housekeeping season.
Oh, definitely. It's league year's starting soon, and these teams got to extend some guys, make room, figure out all that stuff. So tis the season for cap cuts for sure.
Yes, it is.
That's a pre-free agency thing.
So I've got
is this the Athletic article?
It's I've got the Athletic and the NFL.com in front of me.
Oh, okay. And the Athletic did a nice job. They each one of their beat writers picked one dude.
Picked one from each.
Which makes me think they're likely. Almost everyone has a guy. You know, like the Steelers is Jonnu Smith. I think that's a foregone conclusion.
Makes sense. And for Miami, and now there's already been some shoes to drop, some balls to fall in this regard, but Tua Tagovailoa still.
Yeah, I just don't know what exactly they're going to do with him. Because it's such a big cap hit. There's been talk. Do you remember the Brock Osweiler trade where they gave up Osweiler and a 2 for a 7? Just get him out. We'll pay you to take him out of here. I think Miami could try to do that. That's their other option because cutting him is just a massive cap hit.
If they were to cut him before June 1st, it would result in a $99 million dead money hit.
Biggest in NFL history.
$99 million. Now, if they trade him before then, the cap hit is just $45 million in dead money,
But then the new team has to have a lot of space to do it, though.
Yes,
That's why you got to pay someone to take him. Not that he's a horrible player. There's not many teams that can pull that off.
His $54 million salary for 2026 is fully guaranteed.
That is a lead balloon, dude. It's a brick.
It sure is. And so that, I just think, is a matter of what they do with him. I wouldn't expect them to cut him before June 1st because $99 million of dead money. But
they're in such tank mode because they have to be, really. Because of contracts like this and the Tyreek situation, that they may just have to punt on the season with a new rookie coach and be like, let's prepare. First off, this is something we'll talk about a lot, and you'll probably be more dialed into it than me. But there's been talk, and trust me, I'm not the quarterback class is so much better next year guy. But
doesn't it feel like we say that almost every year?
We do. But it's definitely going to be better than this one.
I would be shocked if it wasn't.
Right. It's Mendoza and then maybe another first rounder if Simpson gets moves along. But I've heard people I've trust saying there's 10 to 12 names that could be in first-round consideration, somewhere between first overall and the end of the first round in next year's quarterback class. I mean, it's that many. And you could probably even spit the names off better than me. But I think a lot of these teams, and maybe the Steelers are going to be included, I'm not saying they're going to tank, but they're just going to look at it like, let's say there's 8. Because, okay, if we could come up with 10 names now, Sayin and all these,
Sayin, Arch, Chambliss if he's back.
I'm going to assume he's back.
Yeah. Dante Moore from Oregon.
South Carolina,
Lenore Sellers, that's 5.
People love the Cincinnati kid that just transferred.
Sorsby, that's 6.
Ohio State.
I said Sayin is 1. Okay. Sam Levitt, who I mentioned yesterday, would be 7.
Oklahoma's dude.
John Mateer.
Yes.
8.
I think there's more than that, too. I mean, anyway, but let's say that there's 10 names we come up with now that ends up being 7 because 3 of them end up stinking or getting hurt. And then one name we never heard of from South Dakota State, whatever.
Oh, there's absolutely going to be somebody
that
we're not talking about that jumps into the conversation.
So if it ends up being like 7 or 8, it might be the first time in NFL history where the supply is greater than the demand. So my point is, if you're the Dolphins, maybe the Steelers, you just kind of count on that. Like, I'm going to get my quarterback next year, and I know it.
Josh Hoover out of Indiana.
Yeah, that's a name.
I mean, it's certainly. Now, we were saying this time last year.
USC and UCLA, too.
Oh, Jada Miava, I didn't even think about. Yeah, I'm interested in Jada Miava. I mean,
it's not that hard to get to a dozen.
That's a lot of names.
Right. 2 or 3 of them won't be as good as you think.
Yes, but you'll have 1 or 2 that we haven't even mentioned or said their name that'll burst onto the scene and be a possibility. No one was talking about Ty Simpson this time last year.
Of course, right.
That's a very, very interesting proposition, and I think one that the Steelers are weighing heavily as they kind of get into these conversations.
All these teams will more than everybody realizes. Yeah.
For the Raiders, so that's Tua for the Dolphins. Pretty simple.
Yeah. For the something's going to get done with him. I don't know how it'll.
Would be shocked if they just run it back with him. Yeah. For the Raiders, NFL.com lists Geno Smith. The Athletic lists guard Alex Kappa.
Okay. Good. This is going to be a beefy segment. We have to make even AFC and NFC.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking.
You're going to like this. I'm not sold that Geno's shot and stinks. That was such a bad environment. And even the other 2 dudes that came in, who aren't as good, his backups that played, Kenny was one of them, were just as horrific. Mm-hmm. I think it was an unwinnable situation with not only a poor talent on the offensive line, but remarkably poorly coached. Geno, I'm not suggesting him for the Steelers, but I bet he's better next year or no matter where he's at than he was last year. I'll just leave it at that. Because 2 years ago, he was pretty darn good.
Yes. Going into last year, a lot of the people who do the quarterback tiers and Sando and all these, I mean, some people had him as high as 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
But he wasn't much lower than 13, 14.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you that I think he will be better in 26 than he was in 25. Now, that's not a very high bar to clear.
He better be or he won't be in the league.
He better be or he won't be in the league. But he's an interesting one to me. And I am, as much as I love Geno and he was my college quarterback and all that, I wouldn't be pounding if Aaron Rodgers announces tomorrow that he retires, I wouldn't all of a sudden be like, let's go get Geno. Why not?
I know.
But I certainly think you could do worse.
Yes. If he ends up he won't go to the Jets, but if he goes and competes with McCarthy or something.
If I'm somebody like that and I'm trying to bring in a veteran to push an unproven young guy, Minnesota, Atlanta, one of those, then I would be interested in Geno. Sure, and it's probably not going to cost much to get him.
Right. I'm just not going to leave any quarterback stone unturned from a Steeler perspective or just in a league perspective, especially this year. And this time last year, we were not considering Rodgers.
No.
And that name was not, Dale and I were not sitting here chatting about, well, what about Rodgers? He's going to be available. That was not part of the equation.
It's a very fluid situation when you have these cut and free agency conversations. Titans here with a couple listed. Tony Pollard, the running back. L'Jarius Sneed, the cornerback. Calvin Ridley as well, as we've discussed.
All are very possible. The wrench with them is they have the most cap space in the league. They don't have to do it, but all 3 of them especially Ridley and Snead at this stage, aren't worth the money.
And so that's kind of the question is, do you mind overpaying a little bit because you have the space to do so?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you just kind of try and move on even though you might have some additional space?
And what they could do is just let those they won't be in any rush. They could cut them now if they wanted, like any other team. Or they could cut them 3 weeks into free agency when their cap space starts to dry up and they need room.
Yeah. Houston Texans, Joe Mixon.
Easy one.
I think that's a pretty easy one.
I don't know if he'll play again.
Buffalo Bills, Curtis Samuel, Dawson Knox.
Yeah, those are both possibilities. I think that they are a little tight on cap space. I think they'd like to make room to go get A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, somebody like that, and those guys would be easy ones to move on from.
Baltimore Ravens, Marlon Humphrey, and defensive lineman Broderick Washington.
I think Washington's as good as gone. Humphrey, I bet they're kicking around. I bet that's kind of a 50-50 call.
Because he's still got value. Right. He's just making a lot of money.
He's just pricey and getting to that 30-ish cornerback cliff.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, Matt. NFL Network has Patrick Queen listed. The Athletic has Jonnu Smith, which feels almost like a foregone conclusion.
I think Jonnu Smith and Malik Harrison are gone. No one's told me that. That's just my hunch, and mathematically and financially, I think that makes all the sense in the world. I'm torn on Queen. I mean, we never talk about this, but it's a really good linebacker draft, and I wouldn't mind getting one at some point. Even if it's a fourth rounder to replace Holcomb and maybe be Queen's successor a year from now.
One of those 3 third-round picks, potentially,
maybe.
If the right guy falls to you there.
But you know me, I'm not big on use a first-round pick on a linebacker and plug him in. It usually doesn't work out great. I probably would roll it back with Queen. My default call on the defensive players is I want to see what this staff does with them.
Totally.
Like people are like, trade Watt. I'm like, well, I kind of like to see what this staff does with them. Cut Queen, cut Ramsey. I'm like, I'd like to see what this staff does with them,
I think that's a fair olive branch to give.
Yeah.
Jacksonville Jaguars, Eric Armstead, defensive tackle, Ezra Cleveland, offensive guard.
Both seem possible, especially if they're going to try to give Lloyd big money, who's a free agent.
They've got some decisions to make because they've got some mouths to feed.
They do. They could possibly even trade Brian Thomas.
Colts, interesting one. Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver.
Really interests me because there's been a lot of these beat reporters saying they really don't want to lose Pierce. Now, Pierce is not worth the franchise tag, but that doesn't mean you wouldn't do it and talk it through. And if you do that, Pittman's going to hit the open market, and then I'm highly interested for the Steelers. I don't think I want to – you could trade for him and give him a 6th-round pick and get him and take the contract so you don't have to compete with anybody. But I think Steeler fans, if you're interested in Pittman, you want the franchise tag to go to Pierce. Because then I think Pittman's on the out. They're going to get the ball to Warren, Downs, Taylor, Pierce. And I think Pittman would be, at this stage of his career, especially on the open market, where you wouldn't have to pay his exact contract now, a nice 2 with a 2nd-round pick in Metcalf. I could live with that for sure. He's a dirty work over the middle.
Would you take
guy.
Pittman over Pierce for the Steelers specifically?
They're very different, and they're at different stages of their career. Pittman's probably declining where Pierce is getting better. So I think Pierce is worth more. But I also don't think it's an apples to oranges question. One's going to be valued. If they're both on the open market, if they were to cut Pittman tomorrow and not franchise Pierce, Pierce will get more money. He'll be desired more by the league.
Interesting one to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Just another one of these big-name guys that have been fantasy relevant at the receiver position that could be on the move or a possibility for the Steelers.
Chiefs, 2 listed. Cornerback Christian Fulton, right tackle Juwan Taylor.
Yeah, they got Jalen Moore last offseason, kind of at a Dan Moore-like cost. And then they drafted a tackle in the 1st round at Simmons. Taylor's always penalized. I think he's been a liability at right tackle. From what I saw, it saves them like $19 or $20 million, which they need. I would think he's gone.
I think so too, but
a frustrating player to watch.
He is. There's something in there. You just don't see it as much as you should. The New York Jets, 2 listed, Justin Fields and defensive tackle Harrison Phillips.
Yeah, I mean, Phillips is older. They're going to be on a massive youth movement. Any cap space they can get for old guys, I'm sure they'll move on from. I don't know how they'll handle Fields. Probably saves them a decent buck. Is he tradable? Would he be desired if he got cut?
I think he'd get an opportunity somewhere, obviously.
Yeah.
But
I mean, would he be like Lamar's backup or something like that?
now, see, something like that, if I was a team, I'd be interested in.
Yeah. If I had
Absolutely.
an athletic running quarterback and don't really have a 2, sure. I don't think anyone will think he's a starter, though.
Not clear cut.
No.
Be, at best, compete with somebody else that's in a similar situation to you type.
That probably has a better chance to win the job than you do,
Because they're already here and an incumbent and familiar.
Or he holds down the fort in Indy while Daniel Jones recovers for the first month or something like that,
It's not a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns, cornerback Denzel Ward, offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas.
Lucas just isn't very good and not worth the money, so I think he's shot. I don't know if they'd move on from Ward or not. I mean, I think he's 30-ish, which
he's hitting that point, but he's also been one of their mainstays and one of their few consistent, reliable players.
Then you got to go get a corner.
And you do, yeah.
I would think you want to do offense.
I wouldn't. I'd just leave the defense.
I think I'd just try to keep that intact.
Yeah.
Right.
Last one for the AFC here. We'll take a break and do the NFC. Both NFL Network and The Athletic listing Mekhi Becton for the Chargers.
Yeah, it's just injuries, and they signed him to a pretty substantial but not crazy deal because remember he was really good with the Eagles 2 years ago. His stock was pretty high this time last year. He
was one of the top guards on the market. Yeah,
and I think he made, I'm guessing, like
2 years, $20 million.
Okay, I was going to say 10, 11, something like that, and so that was about right. I think you'd rather have $10 million than a big injured guy.
And when he's healthy, he's
something
very good. But
he's been really hard to count on his whole career.
He has, and he was great for the Eagles, but that was maybe the exception
more
to the
and more,
rule.
It seems like those 350-plus pound O linemen are falling out of favor. They just don't move well enough or stay healthy enough. Like Kalen Proctor worries.
Yeah,
from Bama.
Yeah. We talked about him yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll do the NFC when we return. Cut candidate exercise here. Talk about some of the potential names in the NFC conference. As we roll along here, just getting started on the drive today, Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Notable cut candidates around the AFC and the NFC. That is our number one topic du jour here, Matt Williamson. And as we jump into the NFC, I don't think this will surprise anybody. Everywhere you look, NFL Network, The Athletic, Kirk Cousins listed for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, they just restructured his deal. He's going to get cut. But what's interesting to me is his best fit might be Atlanta.
That's the funny part.
Right. I mean, they just can't do it at the money that they gave him.
And I'm sure there is an example of that happening in NFL history in the past.
I
can't remember it, but I'm sure there was a time.
We love you, but we got to cut you, and then we're going to offer you a deal the next day,
In my dorkiness, I remember. You remember the name Brooks Orpik?
Oh, yeah, the defenseman.
Played for the Pens 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. He did that with the Washington Capitals.
Okay.
They bought him out, and then he re-signed for a cheaper deal type thing. But
I'm happy with you.
I know it's happened in the NFL. I just can't think of an example right off the top of my head.
99.9% of the time, they just restructure the deal.
Because in the NFL, you can do that.
Yeah.
In the other sports, I don't think you can.
I would say I bet you can't. It's like, hey, we're going to cut you, or you're going to take a pay cut and restructure. Well, I guess I'll take a pay cut and restructure,
And maybe if you're Kirk Cousins, that's where you want to be at this point in your career.
I always link Atlanta and Minnesota together, and I think that's where he came from, and that's where he was. I mean, I think those are the two best spots for him.
The New Orleans Saints, the upstart New Orleans Saints, who won 5 of their last 6 games. Alvin Kamara, of course, longtime mainstay of New Orleans, and safety Jordan Howden.
I don't know anything about Jordan Howden. He must have signed some kind of bad deal. Kamara won't be back.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. He's
just age and money, and
he was a shell of himself last year. He was not somebody they could count on or particularly good when he was on the field. I don't know anything about Howden. whatever.
Yeah.
It must be a cheap deal. But.
It is, because they're saying it would only save him about $3 million against the cap.
Okay.
So maybe that's just one of those.
In fact, I don't know anything about him. It saves $3 million with his cap is probably why he's gone. Yeah. He's probably a special teamer, right?
If Matt Williamson doesn't know you, that's always my favorite is when we're doing our marathon draft coverage and we get to like pick 232 of the seventh round.
It's like, when's the first one you don't know?
And it's like some offensive guard from North Dakota, South Dakota, Bemidji University State, and you're like, honestly, I don't know much about this guy. Like even Matt has to throw up his hands and be like,
did I ever tell you
I'm
this
just going to
story?
Wikipedia scout this guy for you for a minute.
So when I was at ESPN, before I was like full-time SNR, I did not do SNR draft coverage start to finish.
Okay.
So at the 50 point of every hour, my phone rang at home. And
you have told me that before.
Okay. So at 150, 250, 350, every time my phone rings, what do you think happened in the last hour? You know, talk for like 8 minutes before break.
With who?
I'm trying to think.
Would
I
it
don't
have been
know.
Dale?
This was a while ago.
Okay.
I mean, I get, well,
Maybe
there'd always be different
maybe
people.
Maybe it was David Todd back then, or
maybe
Crowley back then, but yeah.
Probably. And I remember when the Steelers took Willie Gay, and they took him at like 2:49.
Right before the phone
and
call.
my phone rang, and he was the first player in the entire draft I didn't know. And he goes to the Steelers, and he goes 1 minute before I'm on the air.
Oh.
And
worst case scenario.
It's a perfect storm. And whoever's on the other end had no clue who he was either. They're counting on me. So I'm like, well, he's a 5th-round pick out of Louisville. You know, I mean, I didn't make anything up, but I'm like, probably going to start as a special teamer. What about that 4th-round pick? You know?
yeah. Let's change the topic real
right,
quick.
Right.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good story. It worked out all right for Willie Gay.
Yeah.
Minnesota Vikings, Aaron Jones, the running back, and formerly of this parish, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave.
I think Hargrave's gone. I mean, he signed a pretty substantial deal.
He's 33.
He's
already.
33.
Man,
Came out old.
that happened quick.
Could you get him in Pittsburgh on a 1-year deal at like $4 million?
I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it. I mean, he's not the player that left here or the Eagles version by any stretch, but he flashes.
Can maybe eat some innings for you.
Yeah, right. I mean, move Benton to the end and see where you're at there. You know, that'd be probably an after the draft move.
A lot of running backs on these lists usually, which doesn't surprise anybody, and we've already named a couple.
James Conner's one that kind of interests me, though.
He's listed by both NFL Network and The Athletic for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, remember they drafted Benson recently. In their timeline, an older running back really doesn't do Arizona any good. I mean, they have to be in a massive youth movement, coming off an injury. Folks, he wasn't injured in Arizona nearly as much as he was with the Steelers. Everyone just thinks, he's injury prone, you can't count on him. Yeah, he's coming off an injury and he's older, but I wouldn't mind the running back room, not to exactly mimic the Najee days, but I don't want Warren to be my biggest physicalist back. I'd like somebody that's more of a hammer. And Conner getting 30% of the carries, okay. Even if you had Gainwell, he's from here, you went to Pitt.
I didn't know that.
He had cancer.
What?
Yeah.
Never heard that story before.
Another draft day story.
He's been an incredible story, James Conner. Still in the league at 31.
It was like right after the Steelers picked Conner. And you know where we set up at the facility.
Of course.
It was like, I don't know, 20 minutes after or whatever. And Coach Tomlin walks past. And I forget one of the beat reporters who I didn't know and frankly wasn't very good at their job at the time. Coach, just take him he's from Pitt and cancer and all that story. And Tomlin bit his head off. Like, you think we're gonna draft him in the 3rd round because they're next door and they're a good story and give him the ball 20 times a game?
Yep,
you really think that's what we're gonna do?
He's a good story.
It's a good story, yeah. No, that's not why we picked him.
If anybody wants to draft me because it's a good story.
Right.
In the 3rd round, the San Francisco 49ers select radio host from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that'd be a good story.
Speaking of the San Francisco 49ers, few listed here for them. Edge rusher Bryce Huff, and then 2 wide receivers, Demarcus Robinson, and, of course, Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, Ayuk could get cut, traded. Who knows? He's not going to be a Niner. The other 2 are very likely gone, too. They're going to be shuffling their team around a lot more than you think.
One more name for Atlanta that I wanted to run by you. I forgot. Darnell Mooney, wide receiver.
Yeah, he doesn't move the needle for me.
He was really good in 24, kind of fell off a cliff last year.
Yeah.
If he becomes free agent, you wouldn't no interest in kicking the tires.
He'd be below. I'd like my number 3 to be better than him.
Okay.
I think he's at the Austin level.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Chicago Bears, Bears. Two different guys, actually a trio of Bears listed here. Cole Kmet, the tight end, Jalen Johnson, the corner, and Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker.
Yeah, there's some big-name dudes.
Those are some big-name dudes.
Loveland is far surpassed Kmet. I give that a 50-50. I think Edmonds probably goes because it saves him close to $20 million.
He's a good player, but he's making great money.
That's the thing, is he's a $12 million player making 20 or whatever.
He's a B-plus student making valedictorian money.
And they're very cash-strapped. I think that's the only reason you bring up Johnson, too, because he's kind of like Snead, is when they paid him, he was one of the best coming off one of the best corners seasons in the league. Corner's a really volatile position year to year. I want to have a Pierre conversation with you at some point, too, just along those lines.
Okay.
But I think Johnson comes back. I mean, last we saw him fully healthy year, he was quite good. And the Bears are looking to compete.
And that's the thing. You got to be careful with that, too.
Right.
You know, don't get caught with too many seats to fill.
Yeah, I can't just be creating needs left and right on a defense that already has needs.
Speaking of cornerbacks, the Washington Commanders, Marshawn Lattimore, the popular name on all these lists.
People remember when they traded with the Saints, and it's like, oh, that's an aggressive move, win now, which Washington overshot their whole offseason that way.
Sure.
He's been terrible for them, though. I mean, he might be done.
He, to your point, corners, it is such a
brutal.
year-to-year. I mean, at one point, he was fantastic.
I bet he's 32.
And then quickly
like
some injuries and some age, and you lose a step, and it's...
Yeah, the cliff happens fast at that position.
You saw it to Slay this year, man.
Slay, Peterson. Right. Yeah. I don't want the Steelers to go down that road again, especially from someone outside the organization.
Speaking of corners, the popular name for the Philadelphia Eagles on all these lists, Michael Carter II.
Yeah, he just kind of got surpassed by DeJean as Michael Carter's best as a slot. DeJean is a killer slot, but he's the bigger, better version, so Carter's can save you a little bit of money.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of mouths to feed on that defense as well.
Right, yeah. He's just not playing enough snaps, I don't think.
Interesting from one here, Matt. For the Dallas Cowboys, the Athletic has Malik Hooker, Newcastle's own, from one of the best high school athletes I've ever seen.
Oh, I've heard, yeah.
It was unbelievable. I called there. This was back
Wasn't he like a great basketball player, too, or something? Yeah.
This was back when young Wesley was still trying to get a full-time broadcasting job.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing a million different freelance gigs and working at my buddy's family restaurant and doing a million different jobs. And I was calling high school basketball games at the time. They sent me to Hershey for the state championships.
Okay.
And Newcastle, it was like the culmination of it. They finished the year like 38-0 and as state champions. And they were up maybe 6 points with 30 seconds left in the state championship game, something like that.
Was he their star?
Yes, he was. He was their football star and their basketball star. And I think they had another kid who went and played basketball at like a good school.
Yeah.
But he obviously was going to Ohio State to play football.
Right. I mean, he was like a 4 or 5 star.
Oh, my gosh, yes. In both sports.
Okay.
He's one of those guys that, like, if he would have been coming up in the 80s or 90s, would have probably played both sports, football and basketball. They're up like they're in the driver's seat, but there's still like 30 seconds. They're up 6. There's still a chance for the other team. Malik Hooker steals the ball, goes down and dunks. And like the entire city of Newcastle was at the Giant Center in Hershey.
I bet.
And the place just exploded. Like one of the loudest I've ever heard.
Sealed the deal.
He steals the ball, dunks it with like 20 seconds left to put them up 8 and seal the deal. And the place was a madhouse.
Okay.
So Malik Hooker at safety, Kenny Clark listed here as a potential
I think Clark
too,
could go. I
which
think that was kind of a one-year rental.
Yeah.
He's still a good player. He's another one, like we mentioned, Hargrave. If you want to sign him to a one-year deal, if you're just looking for a big veteran, nose-ish, run-stuffer type. I mean, I'd prefer to go to the draft for that guy, but some of those dudes have an old man game where they can just play for a while at that position. Hooker, as probably people know, he's been around the league now. But if you're not interested in Peppers, Clark, or Duggar,
that's the type
he'd
that he
be
is.
a decent third, and he's more free than those guys are more strong, and free's a little harder to find.
He was, when he first came into the league and was healthy, he was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah,
there was some Bob Sanders parallels with him, and maybe just because they were both Colts, but like undersized safeties who at one point were very good, but just got beat up.
Yeah, I think he's pretty beat up over the years too.
Green Bay.
He's definitely a 1-year deal if you were to bring him in.
Yeah. Green Bay Packers, Elgton Jenkins, the center, and Rashawn Gary, edge rusher.
Those are two of their best players. I mean, Gary signed a massive deal when he came off a huge year, and then they traded for Parsons. So it's like, can I really have that much invested in my two edge dudes? So he's going to be sought after in some capacity. He's just inconsistent. I'm not sure why they'd move on from Jenkins. I think he's 30-ish. He's played almost every position for them. He's best at guard. He had to play some center this year. But if Siamalu isn't back, and I would imagine he intersected with the line coach for the Steelers' new line coach in Green Bay. He's been there a long time. Maybe he's your starting left guard. I'd like to have one veteran in the offensive line.
I agree.
You know, the old man, the big brother.
I think every position group needs that, and especially when you consider just the overall youth of that offensive line group right now. That's
kind of why I'm interested in bringing back Isaac, but Jenkins is probably better. He definitely was on his best day.
Detroit Lions center Graham Glasgow. Man,
yeah, he's played guard too, but
they've had so. I mean, I know he's 34.
Yeah, I think that ship probably sailed.
They've had so much movement on that line.
I know.
I'd be looking for some stability, but
yeah,
they got to turn that into a strength again, like it was for them for a long time.
Right, the Ragnow retirement and stuff hurt them.
Yes, it certainly did. Okay, two that I kind of missed here. Actually, couple. Yeah, no, New York Giants. Bobby Okereke. Linebacker. He's another one who was so good at a point in his career.
I'd probably rather have Queen. The only way you consider him, or like Edmonds with the Bears, is if you were to happen to cut Queen and then just say, we'll go test the waters and get a friendlier deal for someone who's probably on the same tier.
Seattle Seahawks defending Super Bowl champions linebacker Uchenna Nwosu. Save the team $11.5 million if released. Just turned 29 in December.
Good player. He's a rotational edge dude. If they were to just use that money to keep some of their own instead, I would understand that. You know, Boye Mafe, somebody like that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the move they make. We're going to stay a little younger, keep our own, so we're going to have to trim something we already have.
I think this is the last one. I missed this on the AFC side. The New England Patriots, another center, Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah, I looked at him as like a 1-year rental because the Wilson kid's probably better at center.
Okay.
The rookie.
To move him into center to kind of stabilize him, and then you go from there.
They've already said they're not going to move Will Campbell to guard, but I thought if they did, Campbell could go to left guard, Wilson would go to center, and then you find a left tackle, but that's the hard thing to find.
Right. It's much easier to find guards.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. I mean, I feel like they almost have to give Will Campbell another year at tackle.
I would assume.
Just as a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
As much as I think most people weren't a fan of him that high in the draft last year, he is still just a rookie. Like, you need to give him a chance to take a second-year step forward. But
yes. I also think it's noteworthy that rookie had to play presumably 3 preseason games. I assume they didn't rest him at all in the preseason. 17 regular season games, and then the entire stretch, and got worse as the season went on. I mean, has he ever played 22 games in a row before? Probably not. You're asking a lot. He probably hit a rookie wall two months ago.
Yeah. I love to tell that Heath Miller story.
Yeah.
His rookie season, and remember, that's one less regular season game, too, his rookie year. Now, an additional preseason game that he probably had a pretty heavy lift in as a rookie. But
yeah.
Heath Miller, the Steelers win the Super Bowl his rookie season. That's Super Bowl 40, the Jerome Bettis, Detroit, Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl. At the parade, my mom and I are there in the stage, and everyone's going nuts, and Troy Polamalu's crowd surfing a few feet over from us. And they're interviewing, I forget who it was, but Rob King or Bob Pompiani type, is up on Stan, might have been Stan Savran or Billy Hillgrove or somebody like that. And they're just interviewing all the players and everything. And they get Heath Miller up and everyone, Heath. And they go, Heath, you won the Super Bowl your rookie season. How does this feel? And he goes, tired. Because that rookie wall, man.
And he was coming off an injury as a draft prospect, which is the only reason he fell to where he was. I remember Dale even interviewed, I think it was McCormick, right after his rookie season. He's like, oh, yeah, it took a lot more out of me. I mean, especially where he came from, they probably played 12 games at most.
That's a great,
it wasn't playoffs
It's a year for those guys that never slows down. From their season to the bowl games, combine, pro days, draft, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so Will Campbell, listen, well, we're not very high on him. I think we agree he deserves at least another opportunity.
I would assume he's their left tackle
to show his best. Now, is he still their left tackle in week 10? That's a different conversation.
Right.
But I think you have to at least start him there and give him that opportunity at the beginning of the year. Let's get to our last break here of the first hour. When we return, I want to talk with Matt about some underrated draft prospects. As we continue to kind of bob and weave between daily draft conversation. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, it's The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio, Steelers Audio Network. Closing down the first hour of The Drive here, and Matt, we've done this a few times. Can we, Aaron Rodgers, line of scrimmage, assess the situation, and we're going to call an audible?
Yeah, we got different defense. We expected cover 2, right?
We expected cover 2. We got cover 3. And so in the next hour, we'll have that underrated draft prospects conversation. But I wanted to piggyback off of here. You said we got to have a James Pierre conversation at some point. We talked a lot about cornerbacks and value and age in the previous 2 segments. So let's do it now. Let's talk about James Pierre. Real quick, just for everybody, he is 29 years old. He will turn 30 in September. So about week 2, he would turn 30 this year. He was born in September 16th, 1996.
So anyone that listens to the show has probably heard me say 8 times.
He's my priority free agent.
Yeah, that he's the guy I want to talk to right now before free agency opens. I really like how he played. I respect his special teams background. I respect his path. There's all kinds of familiarity with him. The Steelers have even cut him at times. Crazy. But you touched on it, and I should have probably been on top of this more than I was. But if you're totally impartial, if you would just look at the Pierre situation based off data, I'm not talking about like coverage data. I'm just talking about signings of the past. Mm-hmm. He has 2 really big red flags in that it's the most volatile position in the league. The best ones are great year after year, but that's like Surtain and Revis. You can count on them being great.
And when you say volatile, just for the audience at home, you mean every year is a different story.
Yeah.
It's not like this guy was great last year. That means he's going to be. You could project with quarterbacks and offensive linemen and some other positions a little bit better than you can. Corners maybe like running back in that regard. It can be peaks and valleys back and forth.
Like 2 examples in that cut conversation: Snead with now the Titans and Johnson with the Bears. The year they signed the deals that they might be getting cut from, they're coming off a top 3 or 4 cornerback season.
Easily in the conversation for best corner in the league.
Yes. And neither was a top 5 pick or Sauce Gardner before that year. They were respectable, but they weren't that level. And they had one really, really good year. And that's not uncommon. And I fear that Pierre is like the perfect example of that. He had a really good year, but chances are it's the best year of his career when you look back on it. Which is okay. If you get a facsimile of last year, you're still very interested. But history shows, especially guys that don't have like top 10 draft pick pedigree, one year stands out unlike the rest. Don't bite on the low-hanging fruit. And what you mentioned, I thought he was like 27, 28. Well, he didn't come out of school early. He's bounced around the league, not bounced around the league, but he's been a special teamer for longer than I thought. 30 is the magic number of cliffs for these guys. He's not an elite athlete, so he has less room for error athletically.
That's a good way to put it.
You know what I mean? Because even if you're the smartest of corners, it's a reactionary position. And the Adam Thielens of the world can drift away slow at wide receiver because they know the route beforehand, where the corners can't. You have to have enough spring and burst in your legs to ride the ride. I would just say, if I was totally impartial, which I'm not, that he has 2 really big red flags in terms of investing in him because of the position he plays, being a one-hit wonder at his age. So I'm not saying he's still not my priority because I really liked how he played and I respect his game and he has a toughness and he's a competitiveness and it's not like he's an unwilling tackler or anything like that or effort's a problem. But they are two pretty big red flags in terms of, are you going to give this guy starter corner money over a 2-year deal and a chunk of it being guaranteed?
Guaranteed.
Right. I really wanted to not need a number 2 corner going into the draft.
That's the biggest kicker in this conversation.
And Samuel's still in this conversation too.
So
now, if you only signed one of them, I'm still drafting one like in the 3rd round.
Yes.
I think you probably draft one no matter what. But this is a conversation of is it a 5th rounder or your first pick, the 3rd rounder, you know?
Now, to reference what you said about, this very easily could have been the best year of his career.
Yeah. Chances are it is if you're as impartial as you can be.
This is just a reference point.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone knows this. Like you and I, we're not, I feel like every time you bring up Pro Football Focus, you always get a bunch of people commenting and saying, who gives a crap? It's just another reference point.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
They had him ranked as the 2nd highest defensive back in the NFL last year.
All the
Number
metrics,
2,
right.
Behind Devin Witherspoon of the Seattle Seahawks.
And if you watch his tape, he was really good. He wasn't the 2nd best corner walking the planet, but he was a really good player. 2
things that I think are very important in this equation. 1, he did play a heck of a lot less snaps than most of the people at the top of these.
Yeah.
Like, for example,
he
played 408 defensive snaps, 255 in coverage. Witherspoon from Witherspoon from Seattle, 902 snaps, 569 in coverage.
I bet Porter played around 1,000.
He sure did. Cooper DeJean over 1,000, who's up on this list. Kamari Lassiter from Houston over 1,000. Quinyon Mitchell over 1,000. Mike Jackson from the Carolina Panthers, who was high on this list, over 1,000. So it's a much smaller sample size last year than the majority of the other people with the grades that he has.
Yeah.
And doing it over 400 snaps versus 1,000 snaps is a different story.
That's what I mean. Like, yes, your point's great because it's a smaller sample size than the others that he was graded against. And would you have done it for 18 games, as the starter? And you're going to have to pay him that way, which he deserves. I mean, if I'm his agent, I got a lot to go off of too,
And that was my last thing to bring into the conversation. James Pierre, will be entering his 7th year in the NFL. So 6 seasons in the league. His career earnings are $5.8 million.
Made nothing, right? I mean, he's undrafted and
now, a lot of people will laugh at that at home. And wait, what do you mean nothing? $5.8 million is nothing.
It's nothing by an NFL guy that's played 7 years.
He has, so over his career on average, has made under $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, he's getting taxed at an insane rate.
Oh yeah.
Of that,
he has different fees than all of us, folks. By the way,
yes.
Again, he makes more money than me and you and most people listening. Of course.
So if you look
but
at
that's
it,
not the point.
His take-home pay in his 6-year NFL career is probably a little over $3 million.
Yeah.
And hey,
great
for all of us, that sounds great. I'd love to make $3 million over 6 years. But him,
this is his last shot at a payday.
This is his last shot at a payday.
He's never got a signing bonus at all, basically.
He's
just happy to put pen to paper some of those years.
Right. And that is a different mindset of I've got to capitalize on this opportunity. And
he should. It's the last time in his life.
He should not take $1 less than he can get.
Right. I mean, maybe he's in love with the Steelers. He doesn't want to move, all that stuff. He takes 90 cents on the dollar. Fine. But, James, this is your last chance to make decent money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's one thing if it's your last chance to make decent money when you've already made some decent money in your career. Yeah. But when you haven't, that bite of the apple looks pretty juicy.
And again, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they sign him and he's as good as he was this year. But he's the perfect example of signs a 2-year deal with the New York Giants, and then 1 year from now we're like, cap casualty, James Pierre, because he was okay, but he was not a $12 million guy. He's a $6 million guy,
And if you're a team with a bunch of cap space, that's probably a fair risk to take.
Yeah. I loved his tape. Maybe the light went on, but this is also a different coaching staff. And it'd be different things are asked of him,
It's a very interesting conversation, one that I'm sure we will revisit here before too much longer.
And I'm sure Omar's on top of this. I mean, he's a cap guy and understands all those things. And right.
Absolutely.
So maybe they choose Samuel over him. I think he's only 27, but there's a lot less to go off with him.
You think 400 snaps isn't a lot? I think his is like 200.
Yeah.
Hour in the books, another hour to go. In hour number 2, I want to talk off-season resources with Matt Williamson. How do the 32 teams stack up? How do the Steelers fare in terms of draft capital and salary cap space and all those things? And we will have that underrated draft prospects conversation that we teased in the first hour. All of that and more as we roll along in hour number 2, including your tweets. You know where to get at us if you want to get involved. Halfway home on the drive, Uhler, Williamson, Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Hour number 2 here on the drive on this Tuesday as we roll along. And Matt, a lot of big picture conversations this week. You know, cut candidate stuff, things like that. This is one of those hurry up and wait weeks. Mm-hmm. And with that, this is
There could be some cuts. There could be a trade. But for the most part,
it's a little quiet.
There's so many new staffs, too. And they're getting to know each other.
Hunkered down.
Yeah, right. We're going to go to Indy together. What's our goals while we're there? You know,
eating some wings together down on the south side and laying out the groundwork, baby.
Yeah.
So with that, NFL.com did all 32 teams in the NFL, ranking them based on offseason resources.
Yeah.
So draft capital, where that draft capital is located, and then salary cap space.
Okay. Now, I haven't seen the article, but a lot of salary cap space stuff is going to change with these cuts and restructures and all these things.
Absolutely.
And obviously some of them are below the line now. They're not going to be below the line. You know?
And I think 2 weeks from today, I want to say, don't quote me on this, but I think it's 2 weeks from today that free agency opens. And obviously then a lot of that
new league year is right around there.
A lot of that money is going to start getting spent.
Yep.
Number 1 on this list, the Las Vegas Raiders. Second in cap space, second in their draft capital ranking.
Okay.
Which
it's great.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
they've got a ton of cap space. They've got the number 1 overall pick, $90 million in cap space for the Raiders.
So 2 things. This is going to be true for a lot. It's more true now than in NFL history. These teams that have gobs and gobs of cap space, they're going to have a tough time spending it. I mean, especially the bad teams that don't want to keep their own. There's just not that much to pick from free agency.
It's a bizarre kind of dynamic.
Yeah, the cap's going up so fast that teams are keeping their best players more than it used to be. I mean, it used to be like, man, I got to pick between 2 Pro Bowlers. I can't keep them both. Cap's tight. Now, we're going to keep them both. You know, so like if Alec, with all respect to Alec Pierce, he's a good player.
No, you keep using that example, but that's a great example.
If he's the best wide receiver on the market, but he's the 35th best receiver on the planet, you're going to overspend for him. You know what I mean? It's just the way it goes.
Supply and demand.
But that's the Raiders, the Titans. He seems to have a ton. It's going to be hard to really use it in completion. And unfortunately for those guys, it's not like, boy, we have 3 young guys that we can just give it to on the team, you know. And then last thing on the Raiders, if they trade Crosby, they'll be a distant first because they'll get more draft capital and more cap space. All right. And I think he gets traded.
Don't mess it up, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Tied for second, the Jets and the Titans. Jets are 4th in cap space. Number 1.
They have to be wanting draft
number
capital.
1 in draft capital ranking. Titans are the opposite. Number 1 in cap space. Number 4 in draft capital ranking.
Okay. I don't think the Titans have any extra picks. Jets have a lot of extra picks.
Jets have a lot of extra picks.
Yeah.
Yes. Titans, I think you're right, but they have all theirs, which are going to be
but low. Yeah, they're early ones.
Yes. Number 4, and this is why this article was so eye-popping to me when I was reading it this morning. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Really?
9th in cap space.
Wow.
9th most cap space. 5th best draft capital. So they did their own draft capital rankings, you know, based on.
I'm sure they use like the Jimmy Johnson chart, you know, right?
How many picks you have and where they're at to give you a ranking. So the Steelers 5th in draft capital rankings, 9th in cap space.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, they got a ton of picks.
Fantastic.
Right. Now they don't have a quarterback. I mean, something's going to go there, either draft and or cap space. But if it's Rodgers, that was only like $10 million last year. He's not going to ask for 30. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a similar contract. It just gives you a lot of freedom. And I hope people realize this about Omar. He's been really good. Just know his background. I mean, he is a cap guy. I mean, much more so than a tape grinder. He's a team builder.
Here's where you spend your money. Here's where you spend your draft picks. Here's what you attack in free agency.
He drafts tackles. You know, I mean, he drafts things that are hard to find. You know, but I also think he's really, really good at setting up the team with resources like this, off-season resources, the combination of the two.
Here's their blurb on why the Steelers are so high at 4. The Steelers are the highest-ranked playoff team on this list, coming in at number 4, while slotting inside the top 10 in both draft capital and cap space. While the first draft pick doesn't come until 21 overall, the Steelers are slated to have 4 selections on day 2, gaining a pair of extra third-rounders from the Pickens trade in compensation for Dan Moore Jr.'s departure in free agency last year. The Steelers will combine their draft capital with nearly $45 million in cap space. Some of those resources surely to be dedicated at the quarterback position. Okay. It's already been an atypical offseason in Pittsburgh with Mike McCarthy, replacing Mike Tomlin after 19 seasons. We'll see how much things change beyond that for one of the most stable franchises in the NFL.
Now, in terms of cap space, as I mentioned before, all these teams are going to make more. So, relatively speaking, it might not bump them up even more. But if they cut Harrison and Johnny Smith, that's another 15. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, they're only going to make more.
Yes. Even if they re-sign Aaron Rodgers, I still think they'd come out in the in the black.
Yeah.
5, the LA Rams, number 8 in cap space, number 9 in draft capital. Maybe in the best position of any NFL franchise this offseason, considering current roster and team-building currency.
And they don't have a ton of upcoming free agents. I mean, they have 2 first-round picks. Knowing them, I gave them Ty Simpson in my mock, as you remember.
At pick 20.
The last one. I mean, so the one they earned, like 29 or whatever.
Or 30,
to be in a Final Four team. But I only did it because I wanted to get them in the first round because I think, like, the Giants trade up for Dart could be in the – I think the Rams are going to be in it to win it. I think they're going to draft. Yeah,
you don't think they'll go with the let's stash a guy for a year behind Stafford?
Not Simpson.
No.
I think they could.
If it's maybe a third rounder or something like that.
I think their move is going to be maybe we'll trade something to get future picks because they do have cap. They're high on this list. But they need a corner. They need a tackle. I think they'll go like those premium position routes that are hard for them to get because they're too good. And when Stafford retires, how about 4 first-round picks for Joe Burrow? You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's the kind of move that they make. You know, like
that is totally the kind of. I'm laughing because it's so spot on, not because it's ludicrous.
Right. Like whoever the best quarterback they could possibly get, whatever the cost is at the time, as opposed to we'll draft and develop. You know?
It's okay. We'll find the next Matt Stafford. It's all good.
They all want to play for McVay. You know.
Number 6, the Arizona Cardinals, 12th in cap space, 7th in draft capital.
Well, it's good the bad teams are at the top of this list, as they should be, and that's what the league wants. But sometimes the bad teams are like Miami, where you don't have any cap space.
I have a feeling they're going to be pretty low. There's going to be some of those that are going to be low on this list that we're like, ooh.
Oh, man, you're going to have a long year. Yeah.
You guys have a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Number 7, the Cincinnati Bengals, 7th in cap space, 14th in draft capital ranking.
Now, they don't always use all their cap space as much or as well as they should, but they should be a better team than they were last year.
This is probably too crass for us to do on Steelers Nation Radio, but we could do a fun exercise where if we went, let's say every year since they drafted Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And the defensive players that they took since then.
And I have.
And like who was still available that they could have drafted instead.
Yeah,
you know? Like, because you could probably put together a pretty, now granted, you could do that exercise for every team.
Of course.
And beef up their roster.
Right.
But
Steelers trade up for Roger Jones, they should have taken Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, right. Drafted Kenny Pickett when the next, I forget who was at pick 21, but it was somebody really good that was drafted right after Kenny Pickett. So you could do this.
That happens all the time.
You could do this for any exercise.
But since taking Burrow, they've used a lot of first and second rounders on defense, like 7 out of 8, something like that.
That's what I mean. They've really invested in that defense, and they have not hit on many.
I'd say Turner, the corner, is about the only guy that you're like, oh, that was worth the pick at this point.
It was Trent McDuffie who was right after Kenny Pickett.
Okay, yeah, really good player.
Really good. Devin Lloyd was right there. Quay Walker. But again, you could do this for every team.
Of course.
That's a very shooting fish in a barrel type exercise. Number 8. Also in the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns. 21st in cap space, pretty far back there,
good.
But third best draft capital when you consider the 6th and 24th overall pick.
Did we say the Jets were number 1 in draft capital? I assume they were.
The Jets were number 1 in draft capital, yes.
I thought Cleveland might be second then.
Yes, Jets were 1 in draft capital. Raiders were 2.
Yeah, owning the first pick goes a long way.
Goes a long, long way. Browns at 3. Patriots at 9. 11th in cap space, 13th in draft capital.
They must have extra picks I don't know about because they're picking 31st.
Because they are picking 31st.
They must have
Let's
extra
see.
2s and 3s or something that I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a draft capital 13th.
Whatever, I believe them.
Yeah, I know that they've got the formula for all of this.
Yeah.
Let's see. Number 10. Wow, that's nuts. All 4 of the AFC North teams are in the top 10. Number 10, the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow. Okay.
17th in cap space, which is about average, but 10th in draft capital.
I think they have some complimentary picks or supplemental picks as usual.
They do.
They're really good at that.
And they could have some more of those, especially if Linderbaum ends up exiting.
Mm-hmm. That'd be for next year. They'll probably
Meadowlands.
lose Likely and Linderbaum, and next year they'll have a bunch of comps.
Yes.
They could open cap space, cutting Humphrey.
Number 11 on this list, the Philadelphia Eagles, 18th in cap, 12th in draft capital.
I do think they have a couple extra picks.
They do.
Okay.
Yes. 12th, tied for 12th, the Houston Texans and the Chargers. Texans 23rd in cap space, but 8th in draft capital.
Okay.
Chargers, kind of the inverse. They're 3rd in cap space, but,
so they have a lot of
but
space
28th in draft capital.
Okay. Now maybe we should go like 32 to 20. Like the middle ones people don't care about. You know?
Yeah. Commanders are 14. Niners are 49.
Okay.
Broncos 16. Dolphins at 17. That's actually better than I thought it would be.
Because they have picks.
Because they're 29th in salary cap, but 6th in draft capital.
Okay, they're really lopsided.
Bucks at 17, Saints at 19, Giants at 20. See, I would have thought the Giants would be higher than that.
You'd wish they were in better shape.
20th in cap, 17th in draft capital.
You're not as good enough to be 20th.
No.
Or had enough recent success.
The defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, 6th in cap space, but 31st in draft capital.
Okay. They said they're not going to tag Walker since we got together last.
Surprises me with the draft capital, though, because they've got the extra DK Metcalf pick.
Yeah, that was last year.
No, sorry, that was last year.
Gino
You're right.
and
Yeah,
DK
that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was last year. So, that makes sense then. 22nd, Carolina Panthers. Man, if you were them, you'd like to be a little bit higher than that.
It's not a great spot.
23rd, Detroit Lions.
This is when we're getting to like some of the good teams that have paid players and right.
24th, Colts. That's a tough spot to be. 30th in draft capital. No first-round pick because of Sauce.
Pick, right.
The Atlanta Falcons at 25.
No first-round pick.
They are dead last in terms of the draft capital rankings, the Atlanta Falcons.
I think they don't have many picks either. Like I think they're short their first, and they don't have many.
They only have like 5 total, I want to say, when we were going over those numbers last week. 26th, the Kansas City Chiefs. Dead last in salary cap, but 15th in draft capital.
I mean, they had a bad year by their standards, but they have to cut some guys to be as mobile and as fluid as you want. Now, this kind of goes without saying, but when you have Allen, Mahomes, some of these dudes, you can just go to the bank of Mahomes and,
hey, can you restructure for us and free up
you
some
take out a
space
loan
here?
for a year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The bank of Mahomes. It's a good bank to be working for. 27th, the Minnesota Vikings. 31st in salary, 18th in draft resources.
See, this is how the GM gets fired in a couple weeks ago, at a weird time. It's
and I'm gonna circle back to that in a few spots here because you're right with
because
Minnesota.
they drafted really poorly and they're not set up to do much now.
And there might be even a more extreme example of that here in just a few spots.
Okay.
28th, the Chicago Bears.
They just went all in and they're in good shape. They just they hit on what they invested in.
Yes. 29th, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think similar conversation as Chicago.
First, right.
30th, the Green Bay Packers.
That's why they might have to cut Gary and Jenkins.
Because they have no cap space and the Michael Parsons haul.
Yeah. No first-round pick, obviously.
31st.
But those teams are still competitive. At least they're getting their money's worth.
You'll take that. To be a
yeah.
playoff team consistently.
That was the Steelers during Ben.
Yes.
We got too many good players and we're picking late,
It's a good problem to have if you're winning championships. 31st, Dallas Cowboys. So they have the 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, but they have no second or third.
No second or third,
Okay.
and they're 30th out of 32 in cap
Really?
space.
I didn't realize their cap was that. Because they might have to move some stuff around to franchise Pickens then.
Yes. And then this one, Matt, is the one that really is not good if you are our friends to the north. The Buffalo Bills, 32nd. And I can't believe that they're keeping that whole front office intact. And 28th.
I lost a lot of faith in the organization this offseason. I don't have a huge problem moving on with McDermott, but choosing the GM instead of McDermott, it was pretty clear of the two sides which was more to blame.
Colossal mistake, in my opinion.
And the hire didn't blow me away. And Josh Allen will always keep them afloat. But if they had like a Chiefs season next year, where
I was just
going to
say
13,
maybe Josh Allen's the one who's saying I'm off to sunny California with Sean McVay.
Yeah,
see you losers later.
2 years from now, Burrow, Allen, some of these guys might look at their organizations and be like, I can't win here. A year from now.
I'm not sure that there's anybody in sports that is uplifting their organization, that is the proverbial high tide that is raising all ships.
It's becoming more and more apparent.
Like Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's a great call. So were they 32?
They are 32. 28th in cap space, 25th in draft capital.
They don't have obvious cut candidates either. I mean, like you mentioned Knox. I mean, they have a couple, but I'm sure you can restructure Allen, but the window might be closing.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a colossal.
Yeah, it's poor GMing.
It's a colossal waste of a generational type talent if the Buffalo Bills are never able to get any closer than they have been with Josh Allen.
Yeah, it'd be a shame.
At least the Bengals got to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
with Joe Burrow. I mean, the Bills have been to one AFC Championship game, I think, and that's it.
I mean, Burrow, Allen, Lamar have a lot of football left in them. But all of them are in worse shape now than they were a year or two ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. So that's kind of your off-season resource.
That's good stuff.
Primer here as we really get ready for free agency.
Was that Pro Football Focus?
That was NFL Network.
Okay.
NFL Network.
So I think a couple of these people will constantly update that stuff when cap moves happen, and right.
That might be worth revisiting, before the draft.
Definitely right before free agency and after the combine, right?
Yeah, it's just that kind of stuff to me. This time of year is always interesting to just kind of.
Oh, it's super important.
Just to get your baseline and learn to think as those around you think.
Yeah, what's the logic behind these moves, right?
Yes. When we come back on the other side, let's revisit that audible that we called in the first hour.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about 10 underrated draft prospects to get familiar with before the NFL Combine. We will do that when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. A week from today, we will have our first day of Combine coverage here on the Steelers Audio Network. We will be arriving in Indianapolis on Monday.
It's Wednesday. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm like, you're a day off. I'm like, no, I'm a day off. Never mind.
Who's on first?
Yeah.
Monday,
wall.
Monday travel day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, our coverage on SNR and the Steelers Audio Network. And we're excited for that. We're gearing up for that. We will be on from 9 to 5 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, pardon me. 9 to 5. We're working 9 to 5 like Dolly Parton on Radio Row. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's obviously Eastern Standard Time for those of you that are in different places. And then Friday, we're done at 2. So we're just 9 to 2 on Friday. We'll get out of there a little bit.
Truck our butts home, yeah.
Yes. And a lot of these big names that we've discussed so far that we'll continue to discuss, Matt, people are familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
People know Fernando Mendoza and Arvell Reese.
It's time to move past those guys, right? We need to dig in.
It absolutely is. Those surface-level guys, it's like, that's like your first, you remember when you were back in high school, grade school, middle school, and it's like, you got your report cards in quarters, like 9 weeks.
Yeah, every 9 weeks.
2 quarters was a semester, and every 9 weeks. It's like, okay, the first 9 weeks of draft season are past us.
Yeah.
So you better know the big names and the top wide receivers and all these different things. Now it's time to get into the second quarter, Matt.
We're not on like the 8th safety yet, but right.
We're maybe approaching the end of the first semester, end of the second quarter here, and it's time to get familiar with some new names.
And I'm sure we'll do some of this too, but Dale and I would text each other a lot this time of year, or he'd just pop in the next day. He's like, I watched this receiver from Florida State. Let's talk. Let's break him down. And like, that seems like about a 4th rounder. I'm like, all right. Yeah.
We all have our different football dork quirks, and that's for sure. And that will definitely continue all throughout Combine and draft season here. But 10 names to know, Matt. Some of these are names that you and I have mentioned once or twice in passing, but I think a little bit more of a conversation here.
And one of these tier 2 guys will get hot and may end up going 15th overall or 21st overall, or who knows? You're right.
And some of these names that we've discussed that we think are nailed on first rounders might get to the combine and he's got a heart issue or he's got a hip issue, and then all of a sudden he's drafted in day 2 instead of in the top 20.
And another thing that happens, and I respect draft nicks now more than ever.
I do love that term, by the way.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite draft nick? Well, I'm a Dane Brugler guy.
I mean, like Mel was the first.
Mel was the OG draft nick.
But a lot of them look at things so generically that they don't look through the eyes of a coach of, man, I can't use this guy in nickel, so he's a 4th rounder, not a 2nd rounder, or a 1st rounder. You got to really think, how do I use him on game day?
10 names to start getting familiar with here. Again, a couple of these we've mentioned, but very briefly in passing. One of those guys at the top of the list, this is Todd McShay's list, by the way.
Okay.
One of those guys, I believe so, right? This is McShay. Yes, from the McShay report.
Yep. I'm going to try to grab him.
That'd be awesome.
While we're there, yeah.
That'd be awesome. Edge rusher out of Missouri, Zion Young. We've mentioned him a little bit. He's not in that Reuben Bain, David Bailey, Kedrick Falk tier, but he's kind of, I think, in that next group.
Yeah, he seems to have a lot of juice right now, too.
He's
both like off the edge. I mean, that's not what I meant. But
yes.
I mentioned we recorded, it'll be out Thursday. Mike and Max and I did our first mock draft where we each did the 32. Max had Young at like 16 or 17 overall, middle of the first round. Third
Max,
or 4th edge guy.
He's biased towards those SEC guys, Max.
Those two went back and forth on SEC, Big Ten. Big Ten actually wins this year.
Do they?
I mean, at the top.
Ohio State and Mendoza.
And Mendoza, yeah.
That's a great point.
SEC's weak at the top this year.
Texas A&M had the most players invited with 13
it's a lot.
This year's draft. But you're right. The SEC I still think is the best conference in college football. And Big Ten people, don't tweet me. Okay, I know you've won the last 3 national championships, and I'm very refreshed by that. It was time for somebody to knock the SEC down a peg. But I still think they are the best conference in college football, just not as strong right now as they have been over the last 20 years.
I think it's the best for prospects because a lot of them are linemen. You know what I mean?
A lot of linemen, a lot of edge rushers, a lot of corners.
The stuff that's hard to find.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about how this feels like a deeper than usual, stronger than usual off-ball linebacker class.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Another one of those guys out of Texas, Anthony Hill Jr.
Yeah.
6'3", runs a 4.4 40.
He's more athlete than player.
Yes,
though.
he's not violent.
He's not violent, and he turns things down a lot more than you would like. But, boy, he runs and hits,
Looks like a round 2 pick, according to McShay.
I could see that.
In a loaded linebacker class.
There's 3 guys that are well ahead of him. I mean, the two Ohio State guys. And Allen from Georgia.
And Allen from Georgia.
Those guys are probably first-rounders any year they come out, especially the 2 Ohio State guys, which is rare.
We've talked about Kedrick Falk, the edge rusher from Auburn.
He's another one that's all molded. He's clay, but he's not formed yet.
Shamar Stewart from last year. Those guys can go one of 2 ways. They either take off or they bust. There's usually not a lot of, he ended up being an okay NFL guy for 9 years.
I mean, that was Oweh, and who's taken a while, but now, sometimes projects takes a while, but they do project into good players.
But McShay has the other Auburn edge rusher, Keyron Crawford, listed here.
Okay.
High level motor, excellent football.
I think he's the opposite.
Character.
Yeah, I think he's kind of the opposite.
Showcases tons of quick twitch ability, which we know for edge rushers is paramount.
Edge rushers definitely a combine matters position.
Disruptive in the run, closes on ball carriers in a hurry. Far from a perfect prospect, does miss too many tackles and has shorter arms, but is being vastly underrated by the public. Talked to 2 different teams that don't think he will make it out of the 2nd round.
Okay.
The name on this list that really caught my...
I think we want edge rushers to go in the first 2 rounds.
Totally.
Yeah.
Edge rushers, offensive tackles, let them fly off the board. Fly off the board. Another name on McShay's list here. This is a name I've mentioned to you a couple times when we talked tight ends briefly in the past, but Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Kenyon Sadiq is clear-cut tight end 1. If anybody else has anything, they're just trying to get attention or trying to get impressions and be different. I think the conversation for tight end 2, at least in my book, comes down to Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt and Michael Trigg out of Baylor. Stowers is flying crazy under the radar. He could be a Harold Fannin Jr. type, ends up going in the third round and has a great rookie season.
More receiver than blocker type guy.
More receiver than blocker. He is a little undersized,
he's a little small.
But so was Fannin. He's just a route runner. He's got strong hands. He's quick. He's got the yard after catch ability. I really like Max Clare out of Ohio State, who everyone's talked about at tight end too. But I think Stowers and Michael Trigg, for whatever reason,
Trigg has some off the field.
He has some off the field stuff, or else he might be. I mean, a first round pick. He's an athletic freak, but I think Stowers is really flying under the radar.
Keep an eye on this because it's becoming more of a college football trend. The tight ends that they're producing for the league are better and more developed and deeper than it was 5 years or so ago. Yeah, I mean, some of the younger guys are coming in, starting with Bowers, but I mean, even McBride in his second season. They're producing more and better tight ends than ever. Might even started with like Darnell Washington's class. There was like 5 or 6 really good ones that year. You know,
it's not the thought process that it was 15 years ago when you're going to have to wait till these guys are 27 before they really have.
It used to be like, why would I bother drafting this guy? Because his second contract when he's going to be good.
Cornerback Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. Smart, instinctive, unbelievably fast.
Yeah.
Versatile, excels in man and zone as corner.
He really looks like a clear second-round guy.
Didn't have a great Senior Bowl.
I'd say Senior Bowl wasn't great for him.
But his tape is outstanding, and yeah, that's what McShay says is that if he has a good combine, should be a top 50 pick.
And guys like that, I mean, with the traits, could go to like a Super Bowl type team, late first.
It's a great landing spot for those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Another one of those guys to me is the safety out of Toledo that we've talked about a little bit in the past, Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
People love him.
He's got some of those Emin Worry, Cooper DeJean type vibes where he's
violent too.
He's violent and he can be a versatile guy in your secondary. I think he's got a chance to be a first-round pick, certainly.
There could be 3 first-round safeties. We know Downs is going.
Totally.
We haven't talked about the Oregon kid enough, and the dude from Toledo. We're all going to go probably top 40.
Top 40-ish.
Yeah.
I think that's a safe bet.
Especially if they can prove to be slot capable, like you talked about, the Emin Worry stuff.
That's the calling card in modern NFL right now. Another one of these defensive linemen that I'm excited about, and we're going to, I think, continue to talk more and more about these guys. Grace Houghton out of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
One technique guy.
So he's more nose-ish, which I think is
really quick get-off, which is kind of fits the bill of what we've talked about.
Yep.
Had a really good Senior Bowl week. And according to McShay, I'd be surprised if he lasts until day 3.
Okay.
So he might be one of those
like Steelers second-round pick.
Or second-round, third-round.
Right? Yeah.
I wouldn't hate that. I want to add to that defensive line at some point.
Me too. I'd much rather do it through the draft than.
And I think day 2 is the kind of ideal. Hey, if you tell me now it's a 4th rounder, okay, but I would really like it if it was day 2. And a couple wide receivers to close down this list. Amari Cooper Jr. out of Indiana. We've talked about him a few times. For those who don't know the name, you will know the highlight. He's the one who made that circus toad tap catch against Penn State. That was
the more you watch him, the more you love the guy.
He's
really easy to like.
He's got that George Pickens type ball skills, zero fear, kind of to go up and get it.
An elite blocker, which probably doesn't shock you coming from Indiana.
Does not.
Yeah, right.
Does not.
I don't know which Indiana guy I prefer right now. They're both probably day 2 picks, maybe round 2 picks.
McShay compares Amari Cooper to a faster Jarvis Landry. I would sign up.
Landry was a killer blocker.
I would sign up for that.
Yeah.
Chris Brazel out of Tennessee, the wide receiver. We've mentioned him.
He's 6'5".
6'5", over 200 pounds. That's the big body type you've been talking about.
Now, Tennessee doesn't run a real varied route tree.
No, they do not.
But he's not just a straight line athlete. He can break things off and beat you with more than just go routes, too.
A lot of 9 routes on those Tennessee tapes, but it's 6'5", man. And then kind of the guy who's the opposite of that, we've mentioned Zachariah Branch out of Georgia. A lot to like, but he's undersized. He's,
His average depth of target's like 1 yard. Everything's at the line of scrimmage.
His comps from McShay are Jalen Waddle, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers.
Yeah. Because I don't think he's just a slot. Like, those guys aren't. I mean, those guys are primary, play the wide receiver position. They're not just gimmick dudes. They're out there every snap. They're not just the third receiver. Do you happen to know where he transferred from? He transferred from USC.
I think I was going to say it was another big school.
And his first 2 years at USC, the first year he greatly outproduced Lemon. They're the same age. And then the second year they were almost neck and neck. So in a different offense with different usage, he did a lot of good stuff as well.
It's funny. His number one weakness listed on his draft report is large share of his targets were thrown behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they're just like, get him out quick, bubbles.
Like, that's not,
right.
That's not, I don't even know if that's necessarily a weakness on him. That's just the way they used him at Georgia.
They used him, right. I mean, that's how Burden was, last year. So I heard Todd recently talking about how he thinks there's going to be at least 12 receivers in the first 2 rounds. That's a ridiculous number. And he went back, again, I'm quoting him. He went back, he said, over 30 years or something.
Only twice in the last 30 years has there been 12 wide receivers or more in the first 2 rounds.
One was the Pickens year.
And one was the Pickens year. And he thinks that this would be the third time in the last 30 years that's insane.
I kind of feel like the Steelers have to get one of those 12.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not round 1, you better get one of the 12. If there truly are 12 going in the top 64,
you better get one.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair ask. Especially as we sit here today. I don't think they could even do something in free agency that would change our mind in that regard.
I mean, you trade for A.J. Brown, I still would probably
so
say
I
the
think,
same
give me
thing.
one in the second round,
right?
Absolutely. I want to get greedy at that position, man, because whether it's Aaron Rodgers, whether it's
the next
guy, Will Howard, whoever it might be, I want that nest, man, and you need those wide receivers to be part of that nest.
I really think. Remember the conversation we talked about how I think it was Todd saying there's about 10 quarterbacks next year for next year's class, and we went through Texas, Ohio State, blah blah blah. If you're one of the teams that's targeting them, what do you do this year? You take a receiver or a tackle.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean,
build
exactly
the nest.
what you do. Right.
Build the nest. Offensive line or wide receiver.
Yep.
It's a no-brainer. And I think that's a good year to be doing that because we see a lot of these wide receivers available in the top 64. A lot of offensive tackles that are in the back half of the first round of the draft, which is crazy rare.
Yeah.
You don't have the Joe Alt type prospect in this draft.
At either position.
Yeah, you're the
no-brainer.
But you've got a lot of those
a lot of them.
B-plus type prospects that
quality starters prospects.
Yes. That might not be going to Canton one day, but that could be a really good player for you for 10 years.
Right.
But
I think you'll see a lot of these what look like quarterback needy teams taking a receiver or a tackle, and then next year, like the Browns might take one of each in the first round. They should.
They absolutely should. And for Cleveland's sake, that might be one thing that actually falls their way this year. It's a good year you got 2 first-round picks.
We're laying it out. We're laying the
blueprint and a wide receiver. Bam.
Don't screw it up.
Don't screw it up. That Cleveland, they can never screw that up, right? No way. They had this great scout named Matt Williamson in the building, and they got rid of him after a year. That tells me everything I need to know about the Browns. Although I'm forever grateful, because who knows where I'd be right now if I wasn't doing radio with Matt Williamson. One more segment to go. We'll close down with some of your tweets. You know where to get at us if you want to get involved. I feel like I don't give the Twitter handles enough. I think most of you know them, but Williamson NFL for Matt, Wesley Uhler for myself. We will answer some of your tweets before we get out of here. Uhler, Williamson, it's The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Closing down The Drive here on this Tuesday evening, and we will do so with your tweets. Before we get to those real quick, Matt, some exciting news. Cody Alexander going to join us on the program tomorrow.
Great.
Which will be a lot of fun. I know we've mentioned him a few times in the past, but for those unfamiliar,
we'll give his background and stuff a little bit more,
Yeah, we'll do a little bit more of that tomorrow. But basically, he was a defensive coach in college football for a while, most notably with Baylor, like back around the RG3 time frame when Baylor was humming and, one of the better programs in the country, winning a couple Big 12 titles, Heisman Trophy, all that stuff. A couple top 10 finishes, I think even a top 5 finish or 2 for Baylor during that time period. He was on their defensive staff there for a while and had a couple other, defensive jobs in college football. And then got to the point where he was like, I think maybe a little bit like you, Matt, was like, family stuff and just doesn't want to be getting different jobs and moving and all this.
It's a tough world.
And so he decided to get into media stuff, and he has a great website called Match Quarters, and all he does is talk defense. College football in the NFL, it's all defense all the time. And I was poking back through his Twitter account, and I've told you we've had him on our WVU show a couple times, so I have a little bit of nothing crazy, but familiarity with each other. I was looking back on his Twitter account, and he had a ton of breakdowns on Patrick Graham and his Raider defenses.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk to most of him about.
And so that's what we're going to talk with him primarily about, is what to expect from Patrick Graham, the Steelers' new defensive coordinator, from a former defensive coach and a defensive media mind who does that specialty. So excited to have him on with us in the first hour of the show tomorrow. That'll be a lot of fun.
So I'm not sure where I dug into him, because we didn't have this conversation until after I subscribed to his Substack. But some of Matt's stats come out of there. I mean, he's got some analytics stuff going on. It's not just all X's and O's too, but he's worth looking into, guys. I think you'd like him.
He certainly is. And
after we chat with him, I bet a lot more.
I was just going to say, if you're not familiar, and he's based out of Texas, so I could totally, unless you're someone who's online consuming football content all the time.
He's not on NFL.com.
Right.
Yeah, right.
You might not have heard him or come across any of his work before, but I think after tomorrow, people are going to want to get more familiar. So we're looking forward to that. Matt, real quick. I did this with you, I think, last week, but just a reminder, 6 days until the combine opens.
Yeah.
20 days until free agency. So I was off by a week.
Okay. I know it's pretty much a week after we get home, basically, yeah.
40 days till the league meetings in Phoenix.
I assume we'll be there. I haven't heard yet, but we usually are, right?
That's what I was told by our bosses to plan on that, because I sent an email of kind of like, hey, now that I'm doing this different show with Matt this year, I know him and Dale always went to the owners meeting when I was kind of trying to plot out my offseason, and they told me, yes, plan on doing that again. So that's at the end of March. 65 days until the NFL draft here on the North Shore of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So looking forward to all those things.
A lot of big things happening, right?
Happening quickly, and it always does. Let's get to some tweets here as we close this thing down for the day. Michael Adesso tweets us. Good
friend of the show,
Good friend of the show, regular tweeter and commenter. He says, hey, guys, Todd McShay mentioned today that teams will be aggressively looking at quarterbacks like the Joe Burrows of the world, which you guys have been on top of for weeks. But now he says teams may also try and pry C.J. Stroud out of Houston. Is that something you would want Omar to kick the tires on, and what would you give up? Good question there.
Yeah,
Michael.
That's a tough one. I'm a Stroud believer deep down. And I think after his rookie year, when things started to go south, I blamed his surroundings more than I blamed him. But the most recent tip of your tongue is bad. I mean, these two games in the postseason, even though they've won the Steeler game, he was a double agent. I mean, he was an anchor to his team and couldn't have played worse. He has gone through a lot of stuff around him in terms of change and not so great O-line and really below average running games. Part of me says, for what I'd have to give up, I want to aim higher. I want door number 2, namely next year's draft, and have someone on a 5-year deal, because it surely would include a first-round pick this year, next year, both, something like that. Mm-hmm. But part of me thinks, can I buy a franchise quarterback at 75 cents on the dollar?
That was exactly what I was going to say. If you have a conversation with Houston and it's like, hey, we've kind of soured on this guy a little bit.
Yeah, we're not going to extend. It's time for them to put up or shut up contract-wise.
We want your 21st overall first-rounder this year and a second-rounder next year. Like, it's a true
it's going to be an investment.
Bargain. Yeah. I mean, and that's not nothing.
Bargain. Right.
But that's not 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks.
Right.
If it was 75 cents on the dollar, 85 cents on the dollar, I'd be very interested. But if they want the ransom of C.J. Stroud like he had been carrying on from his rookie season and getting better and better.
Because you got to give him a big deal then, too. I mean, you're married to him. At that point, you've given up a lot.
Oh, you're putting a ring on it.
And you're giving him a big contract with a massive signing bonus, and if he flops, your franchise goes backwards. I mean, there's just no way around it. I mean, it'd be worse than the Duck years and Trubisky years. I mean, like, you'd go backwards.
Yes. It's intriguing. It's worth a conversation.
Sure.
And if it's buying a depreciated asset
Yeah.
I would definitely kick the tires. But if they want
but now's a great
2 firsts and 2 seconds, and I'm out.
I think probably I would use them elsewhere for my quarterback. But this is one of the nice things about having McCarthy as your head coach. Coach, why don't you watch 5 Stroud games? Tell me what you think. Not that Tomlin couldn't, but he wasn't a quarterback guru. You know what I mean?
Fix that.
Yeah.
Or,
like
no.
Like I don't know, man.
He can be a good quarterback, but he's never going to be the guy that gets you over the top, that you have mortgaged the future of the franchise for. It's an interesting question, though. And it will be very interesting to see what happens with C.J. Stroud if he gets that big contract or if there's some.
He easily could rebound his career.
Absolutely.
I think that's very much in the cards.
He's also 25? I mean,
he's
not
a puppy, right?
Yeah, he very easily could, but that stock price is not as high as it was this time last year.
No.
Certainly. RJ tweets and says, what are each of your top 3 needs in the draft as of today before free agency starts? For me, it's clearly wide receiver, then guard and safety. That was RJ's for me, not Wes's for me. Wide receiver, interior defensive line, safety.
I'm assuming Ramsey and Elliott are your starters.
And again, I mean, this is before free agency, as we sit here today. Queen's still on the team.
Right. I mean, like, the way it's phrased, you don't have a number 2 corner.
Maybe I should have said corner instead of safety
because
with Ramsey and Elliott. Okay, yeah, you're right.
I do want to draft one. I think they'll draft a safety.
I'll go wide receiver, D-line, corner.
I can roll out what I have. I might even – receiver's definitely one.
Receiver is definitely – if you don't have receiver as one, I think you're totally off your rocker.
This won't be the needs when the time rolls around, but if my job is I have to field a team and the draft is tomorrow and I got to field a team the day after the draft, I think it's receiver, corner, receiver. I mean, I can at least live with my D-line.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's going to change. Like there's going to be a corner and a receiver on this team when the draft rolls around.
Yes, I think is a safe bet, Matt.
Yeah.
I certainly think so. It's another good question though by RJ there. Q tweets us. I don't think this is not Raiders. This is not Raiders Q that we were talking about yesterday. This is
try to find him too.
I would like to talk about him. I just want to run that Mendoza hypothetical past him.
I want to ask him about Patrick Graham. Yeah.
I guess maybe that was I buried the lead. I'm focused on the shiny silver object. Matt's focused on what the meat and potatoes, what really matters here. Q tweets us and says, what are your thoughts on the possibility of the big 3 receiving options, Tate, Lemon, Tyson, being gone by pick 21 and the Steelers going Kenyon Sadiq over someone like Denzel Boston to get a big receiving mismatch?
No.
I'm confident in Muth and Darnell Washington. I don't.
I want someone I can line up outside the numbers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I need a boundary guy who could go down the field and stretch the field. And, hey, maybe Sadiq could be that guy.
For a tight end,
tight end.
But he's not comparable to Metcalf doing it. Yeah, I mean, by NFL standards, he's not a field stretcher. Like Brock Bowers can line up outside the numbers and beat you.
But I don't think Sadiq is Brock Bowers.
And I don't think Bowers does it well enough for. A lot, but I'm tight end out. You know what I mean? And he's a good one, but even like if you told me Bowers, I'd still rather have a wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, I need a wide receiver.
I think so too, especially in
running out routes,
especially in Mike McCarthy's offense.
Yes.
It's a good conversation point, Q, because I think Kenyon Sadiq is probably going to go in that range and is going to be real value. But if I'm kind of placing my needs, and I'm
he's too redundant.
I'm confident in running it back with Muth and Washington and a new coaching staff and letting that play out for a year.
Would I like Sadiq to be on the team? Yes, but not at the expense of taking whoever else is on the board.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
Yeah. Last one. Andrew tweets us, random question of the week. Do you guys like people watching? And if so, where do you like to do it the most?
Airport.
It's a great one.
Airport's a good one.
Airport's probably the best one. Las Vegas.
I'm not there enough. I'm kind of thinking Kennywood.
Amusement parks, airports, beaches.
I don't go there often, but Walmart. You could see some things.
Vegas, though, I tell you.
Oh, Vegas has to be one of the best places on the planet.
This won't surprise you, though. My absolute favorite answer to this, though, the best place to people watch is at dead shows. So
wow, yeah.
Now it's Dead and Company, right? But the iterations of the Grateful Dead. I mean, you get everything from preppy frat boys to people who haven't showered in 7 years at those shows. It is quite an experience.
I'm sure. When I went to Dead shows, college, everybody looked the same. I bet they don't now.
No, they don't.
Right.
Some people have their designer tie-dye on. Some people have that same tie-dye shirt they've been wearing for 17 years.
That Buckeye Lake when I was there.
Can't afford another one. The best was when I took my wife out to those shows at the Sphere last year. You combine the Las Vegas and the Sphere with the Dead and Company, that was people watching on another level. My goodness.
Well, the cost of admission is a lot different than Buckeye Lake was
that
when
too,
I was
but
there.
people still show up and try and get a miracle and hold their finger
you
up
still see
outside
that?
and try and get it.
They're
Just
selling
follow the
beers
band
for a buck or
and,
whatever.
Sell grilled cheese for $5.
Right.
And hope somebody gives you a ticket. That was a lot of fun today. Enjoyed the show today, and looking forward to tomorrow. Cody Alexander going to join us we'll deep dive into Patrick Graham and some more on this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Thanks to Nate Dogg on the ones and twos, to Tyler V, Mr. TV, producing on the video side of things. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow. You know where to find us on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.